4, 3, 2, 1. It's Ernie Enns and Nigel Bart, 45 RPENS with Ernie Enns and Nigel Bart. And here we are at GPAC, Carmen, Manitoba. It's 5 o'clock, a little bit after 5, but we go for 45 minutes. And the theme of this podcast is making it count, making it count. Don't waste a second. Don't waste any of it. I'm here with Ernie Enns, and every moment counts, you know. And today we're going to try to tackle a big job. It's a big job, Ernie. For 45 minutes, we're going to talk about music, collecting, and everything in between. And we don't know where it's going. We never know where it's going. No. It could go to the Twilight Zone.
And we got to make it count.
And it could go to the trash. We don't want to make it go to the trash. We want to make this one super good. And I'm going to pass it over a little bit, hand over the ball, as they say, to Ernie. I don't want to drop that ball, that baby. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to say, Ernie, what is on your mind today? Yeah, I want to introduce why I'm asking that question, because he drove out his beautiful Dart.
Oh, I'm driving my Dart, my baby. I'm driving my baby today, 1969 Dart Swinger. And it's awesome. Listening to tunes, driving down the highway, and and I've been driving 1969 Darts since February the 23rd, 1973. And the only reason I remember that is because years later I found the sales slip, or the bill sale, for the first car I ever bought. And it was a 69 Dart Swinger. And
how old were you?
I was...
Were you a teenager?
I was thinking I was 19. I guess I had figured out. Let's see, I would have been 19. I would have been 19.
A youngster.
Just a youngster. And I went, I don't know. You want to hear this car shop?
This is the whole point, man. How old? Well, you said you were a youngster, 19 or something. I was 19. But then, it's okay, let me dig it out a bit. Did you have a new car? Was it new car?
No, it was a 69, and I bought it in 73. So it was 4 years old.
Okay.
And I remember distinctly it had 32,000 miles on it. Okay. Back then everything was miles. But I was car shopping because I had gone to Winnipeg to work, and then I was working, and so I needed a car, and so I thought, I'm going to go out car shopping. So I did. Went to the bank and I said, I want to buy a car. And they said, yeah, you go ahead and buy a car and let us come back when you found something you like. And so I looked at a Mustang. This is in Portage La Prairie, is where I was doing it. And I looked at a Mustang, a Tisa Ford. Mm-hmm. And it was a 68 white, beautiful car. I looked at that one and it was really sweet, but I never test drove it for whatever reason. I just looked at it and I really liked it. And then I walked across the street to a used car lot. It was owned by an Art Lovett, I think was his name. I don't know how I remember all this stuff, but anyway, I looked at all these cars, and on that lot was sitting a 1968 GTX. It was blue, kind of that kind of a darker blue with a black top, GTX written on the bottom, and it was just like, oh, is that ever nice? Is that ever nice? And so I decided I'm going to buy that car. So I said to the guy, I said, I'd like to buy that car, but I have to go to the bank. And this was later on in the day. I have to go to the bank tomorrow and talk to my banker about it, the price and all that stuff. And yeah, that was all fine and dandy. So of course I could hardly sleep at night because here I was buying my first car. And so the next day I got back there. I don't even know what I was driving, maybe my dad's car or something. I'm not sure. Anyway, I got back to the bank and I told them what I found, and they okayed it and all that, the price and what I bought. And I went over there and the car wasn't there. And he says, I sold it last night, he said. Yeah, talk about a heartbreaker.
Yeah. And
so I was like really down. So I walked over to Avenue Automatic, which was just on the same block, except And where this is, if you know Portage la Prairie at all, where the 7-Eleven is on 12th Street. I think it's 12th Street. Yeah. So on 12th Street, there's lights and there's a 7-Eleven there. That's where the used car dealer was. And a block over, that shop is still there. It's not called Avenue Automatic anymore. It's called Portage Automotive or something. I'm not sure what it's called. But anyway, I walked over to Avenue Automatic and the car was there because he said it's getting some work done on it, the guy. So I walked over just to look at it, you know. It's kind of broken-hearted. And the car was up on the hoist, and then I walked over there, and I kind of knew the guy, the mechanic that was working on it, John. And he said, is this car, you're the guy that wanted to buy this car? And I said, yeah, I did. He says, just as well. He says, transmission fried, he said. The transmission was shot.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like,
Divine intervention, Ernie.
Yeah, I know.
Divine intervention.
So I kind of dodged a bullet there.
You did.
So to speak. And inside that shop, at the same time, in this same conversation as I'm talking to John, he says to me, he points to the other end of the shop and he says, but that car is for sale.
Hold on. Just keep going with that story.
And so I turned around and I looked and I saw, it was love at first sight. It really was. And I saw a 1969 Dart Swinger, red, same color as this one, with a white stripe and a black vinyl top, sitting over there at the other end of the shop. And I looked at it and I was in love immediately. But the first thought that came to my mind was I can't afford that car. You know, it's a year newer, and I could barely afford this one, this 68 GTX. That one was a little more money. You know how much money it was? $1,950. It was under $2,000. It's beautiful. I know. And so I bought that, and I ended up buying the car for $1,950.
Oh,
and I just remember climbing into it, thinking there's no way I can afford this. And I backed it out of Avenue Automatic and I took it for a drive. But it was like, I knew this was the one. Just knew. It was
the starship for Ernie.
This was. And it really was the one because since that day till now, I have driven only 1969 Darts. This one I have now is number 6.
Oh, man.
I bought that red one. And then I had a 318, which 4 of them were swingers and 2 of them were customs or 318s or whatever. So the first one was a red swinger. Second one was a green custom. Third was a fire engine red swinger. The fourth one was a copper. It was called bright bronze metallic. 4-speed car swinger. And then I had a purple custom. With white interiors, beautiful, like it was a chick magnet. I'd go to the car show with this purple car.
Yeah.
All the girls would be around my car. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But in 2010, I was at the Morden Corn and Apple car show with my purple car.
Yeah.
And as I'm walking over, my wife and I were walking over to the hot dog stand. We wanted to grab something to eat because we just kind of got there and we pulled in and let's go for something to eat. And as we're walking over there, this car comes driving in with a for sale sign in the window.
No.
Yeah. And when I saw this car, it was like exactly like my first one. And the purple one I always liked, but I didn't love. This car I love.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I watched it drive in. I said to Cheryl, that's my next car, I said to her. And so I went over and talked to the guy and I bought it right away. And and that was 10 years ago. Yeah.
Holy smokes, man.
So this is car number 6 that I've had, and I still drive down the highway, listen to all those same tunes that I listened to when I had my first one. And I think that's why those songs were so big to me in the early 70s, because that was just my era. That's when I had my car and started dating too, and that's big stuff too. You know, you have a car and you're dating and music, and so it just all kind of went together, and it was an awesome time in life, you know. And it really did. I really did make it count. Like that to me, that was a big part of my life, and I still hold it very dear to me. You know, sometimes I think I live in the past a little too much, but not really. you know, it's just I do appreciate all those times, and I still do, you know, and that sort of thing. So,
Well,
but anyway, that's my car story, which I've never really told to anybody till now.
well, my response to that, Ernie, I see your point. I see your point. I really see the value of what you're doing, like with your car and your music. Like when I've seen this. It's a cherry sort of color.
Yeah.
This new one, or the one you have currently.
I think they call it, I don't know what the technical name is, but it's candy apple red is what we always call
Candy apple.
Candy
yeah.
apple red.
And I look at that, and now I put it all together, and now I see it cruising down the highway on a hot summer day.
Yeah.
Cranking Badfinger, cranking all those songs you're talking
great
about, man.
45s.
Yeah, I can see it, man, and I honestly think it's the most beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I see your point. I see your point, man.
You know, I still do it. What day is today? The 5th?
Today is the
5th.
6th.
Today's the 6th?
Of May, 22.
Okay, so 2 days ago then, wouldn't have been last night, I guess it was 2 days ago was our anniversary.
Oh, happy anniversary.
Thank you. Yes, it was on May the 4th. We had a Star Wars wedding.
Nice.
No,
man.
we didn't. I'm just kidding about that. But
yeah, well, the Force is with you, obviously.
Yeah, but that's what we always get. Everybody texts always or wishes you may the Fourth be with you. You know?
Yeah.
So that was our anniversary, and so what I did, I ended up working in the morning, and then I went down, put insurance on my car, on my Dart, and I drove it in the afternoon, tested it out a little bit because I hadn't driven it all winter, and everything worked good. So I took Cheryl out for supper on our anniversary in the Dart.
What a lucky lady.
Yeah, so it was same old in the sense that here I had my girl with me, and I was listening to those tunes, and we're driving down the highway. So yeah, life is good.
That's so cool, man.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you know, also like, so interesting how, you know, similarities in sort of pathways or sort of life, you know, whatever life circumstance happens. Because in 2013, I don't know where you were at this time.
Oh, I know where I was.
But we were nowhere near each other. I didn't know who Ernie was.
No, I didn't.
2013, I was living in Winnipeg. And I'll tell a little story,
a
reactionary story, a response story. And you know, I was in a little group, a business group, sort of like a networking group. BNI Canada is a business networking group. Denny Hamill was he was a businessman. He was kind of the franchise manager in this group. I was meeting lots of people, and I met this little, like, in the business group you meet different professionals, and I met this guy Andrew, and he you know, my Buick fried on me, like the Buick, the transmission. I was driving down. So this back up a step. The story was I was driving down Portage Avenue near the Grace Hospital to pick up my boy. Yeah. And suddenly the engine died. Like it just. So like the tranny went on it, and it was too much to fix.
Yeah.
So
what kind of Buick? What year and model?
The Buick, it was one of those. It was a classic Buick, Cutlass Buick. Like it was an old school Cutlass Buick, like a navy blue, beautiful vehicle. I love that vehicle, but
Cutlass, Buick,
but you know,
wouldn't have been a Cutlass if it was a Buick.
Oh,
but it doesn't matter.
I don't know. It was a beauty.
Yeah,
but I mean, as much as I know any cars, it was a very nice car.
Yeah, well,
and it was I inherited from I believe my dad. I inherited, but it was like it followed a chain of sort of like donation cars. It was a beautiful car.
Yeah.
So I believe it was a lady who owned it, and she was an artist. And she passed away, and she donated her car to my dad, and my dad sort of passed it on to me.
Oh.
So it didn't die there though. It was my dad did fix it up and pass it on to my other brother.
Oh.
So the other brother. But so anyway, Ernie, the point was that I went to the car shop like you, all nervous and like
Yeah.
buying first car, and I didn't go with the wingman against my dad's chagrin, because I'm like, Dad, I'm out. You know, I gave him a call immediately.
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
you know, I'm at the Dodge dealership, Eastern Chrysler in Winnipeg.
That's where my first car came from.
And you know what I was looking at?
No.
A Dodge Dart.
No way.
I steered my eyes to the Dodge Dart. And this was a 2013 model, fresh off the press.
Yeah.
This is 2013. And I looked at that. It was so good on gas. I had my son to think about. I was driving him back and forth to Carmen, like on the weekends. And I had some, you know, I had to drive around. So it was good on gas. And it was like really economical. And it wasn't like a big gas hog. And it was a beautiful looking car. It had the Alfa Romeo chassis. It's European Mercedes chassis. So Alfa Romeo. And
no way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I was one of the guinea pigs to get that car. Like, and they sold me on it so easy.
What color?
Black. Yeah.
Black Dodge Dart.
And so here I am in the dealership, and I think, you know how much I spent on that one? I think the price would have been 26, somewhere around there.
Yeah, probably
26. So 26,000. So I had a job. I had, you know, I had the security job, and then so anyway, I was in love with that car swimmingly. And you know, anyways, later down the line, a couple years later, the guy calls me again, says, time to upgrade.
Oh, really? Oh.
So I went back and I did upgrade.
Yeah.
But, you know, it kind of was expensive by that point. And the first time I ever heard negative equity, do you know what that is?
No, I've never heard
It's
of
like
that.
when you trade a car that's not paid off and you get double the debt. So then I had suddenly double debt. Anyway, I drove a beautiful white 2015 Dart. I think it was a 15 Dart. So beautiful though.
Yeah.
And it's white, and I love that car. And honestly, it's, you know, eventually I had to sell it off, but that's the story. So what I wanted to pick out of that was that the Dart is a beautiful car, whether it's a 69 old classic model or whether it's the new Alfa Romeo style.
I didn't know the Alfa Romeo was involved in that.
Well, they came back with a vengeance, those Darts. There's like, they're so beautiful. They
And now they don't make them anymore, do they?
They do, man.
Like even right now,
they have Alfa Romeo stores, and I've seen Darts, like new Darts flying around. Like they're quite a popular car in the city. And out here too, I've seen.
It's just I haven't seen any in the last few years. I was wondering if they still kept making them.
Yeah.
So we're both Dart guys.
We're Dart guys. This is the point here. The other point I wanted to make: never go into a car dealership without a wingman. Whether it's your dad or it's with Ernie or me, don't go in there, kids.
I went.
You know,
I went without a wingman, and I found the love of my
life.
life.
You spent $2,000. Like, oh, that must have been scary for you.
I know, working for.
You're probably making like 2 pennies an hour.
At that time, I believe I was making, I think it was $3.05 an hour, working in Winnipeg.
That's like minimum wage, like $3.05.
No, minimum wage is less than that.
Well, so you're above, but that's crazy, like that.
It was, I think minimum wage was $2.65, and that's what I started with at that job.
Yeah.
Then I asked for a raise, and then he put me up to $3.05.
Yeah. Well, it's like.
And so, but try to pay $2,000 off with
shilling.
Yeah, living expenses.
Here's a shilling.
Living expenses and car upkeep, and then plus making that payment. That.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
And did you have kids at the time or no? You didn't have kids at the time, did you?
No.
Yeah.
So. No. Got married like 5 years later or whatever. So.
Well, you were.
Had to get
I can see how you fell in love with the car. It was logical, it was rational.
Yeah.
And me, sometimes I go a little irrational at times and fall in love with something and just dive in. That's
Yeah.
my passionate side coming out. But
Yeah, and that's a great thing. It's a great thing
mm,
to have passion for something because
yeah, it's true.
it's just such a good feeling, you know,
Yeah,
like finding the record that you're looking for. You know,
yeah.
it's all that stuff is just
Well, yeah. Speaking
it's
of your albums, there, um, you got a beautiful pile of albums next to you, 45.
yeah. I did.
And I'm looking there. It's Guess Who. It's called Bus Rider
Share the land.
Share the Land.
Yeah, when that 45 came out here, oh, now we're back into the music here,
Yeah.
and but when this 45, this is laying on top picture disc, or a picture sleeve, I should say, and picture sleeves weren't, I don't know if they were rare. No, they weren't rare, but not all records had picture sleeves, but some did. And I remember when this one came out, and I saw it and I had already. That is my favorite picture sleeve of any record ever made. That's my
Wow.
favorite picture sleeve right there, the favorite looking one. And there's a native guy sitting there and in the middle. And then the question was asked, I researched it a bit too. The question was asked, who is the native guy sitting on the Share the Land album? And I read up on it, and all it is just a random guy. They didn't say who it was. They wanted a native guy sitting in there because they're saying, let's share the land, you know? And we're still saying that, right? Let's share the land. And so they were onto something back then. And so it was just some random guy that they said, yeah, you look right, and set him down in the chair, took a picture, and that's it. So who he was, I don't know if anybody really knows. I
He
guess.
looks like an artist. He's carving something. He's holding something.
Yeah, it could be.
Or else there's something going on there.
Yeah.
But he's in a wood shop, and I don't know if he's holding something.
Yeah, it
He's
is a
like
woodworking.
looking into something. It looks like a wallet almost, like he's digging into a wallet. But I don't know.
It's
It's an interesting story, and the title is actually Bus Driver B/W Share the Land. I don't know what that means. B in black and white. Is that just a symbol or between or
The
something?
with or flip side with out of BW. What does BW stand for?
Well, it's between. Like that's the symbol for between.
But it's anyway. But Share the Land was side A, and so I think they wrote that backwards because
Oh, it's on one side it says Share the Land B/W Bus Rider,
and
and
so
on the
it's
other
a
side it
double-sided
says.
hit. You know, that's something I have never realized.
And it's the flip side on the other side.
I've
They
never
said.
realized that till this minute, till you pointed it out.
That's really
One
weird.
side is
Yeah.
Share the Land Bus Rider, the other side is Bus Rider Share the Land.
So weird.
That is so cool.
Backwards, maybe it means.
I looked
don't
at that
know,
record
backwards.
1,000 times and never noticed that.
Very interesting. But this gentleman here, this indigenous man, looks somewhat like an artist. Like he's wearing beads but he's he looks like a carver actually.
But look at the picture on the other side. They're two different pictures, right?
Yes, they are.
So
two
he's
different
looking
pictures.
up, and
Yeah.
on the other one, the guys are all in there, and he's looking down and working, or what's he doing? Looking in his wallet, isn't he?
He is looking at his wallet, and all these dudes are around him. Are those the musicians?
Those are Guess Who. Yeah, that's Guess Who. I can tell you who they are.
Yeah, who are they on there?
This is Kurt Winter, legend in Winnipeg, one of the great guitar players. Bert Cummings, Gary Peterson, drummer. These are the new guys that replaced Randy. Is Lescue. Oh, actually, these two guys, Lescue and Kurt Winter, replaced Randy Bachman, and that's Jim Cale, the bass player.
Oh,
Yeah.
huh. They always have. There's serious symbolism here, and this came out in 1970.
1970, yeah. Yeah, here comes
There's
the
a story,
70s.
man.
Here come the 70s. There was even a song on radio called Here Come the 70s. I don't know if you remember that or not. You probably, well, obviously you don't because you didn't live it.
I didn't live it. Oh, I lived like half the.
But it was a
70s,
song
but-
called Here Come the 70s, and it was a band called Strinks. I think it was called Strinks.
Interesting.
And it's an instrumental is all it is, and it's whoosh, 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 has wind blowing in it like that, and it's music. And And it's kind of cool song, and it's Here Come the '70s,
Very
and I
interesting.
remember that when it was 1970, and I was living actually in the year 1970. I was living at Elm Creek, and all I did all summer, most of the summer, is in the pond swimming. I swam my summer away, which is a good way to do it because we had a raft, and we'd always play King of the Castle.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
you'd
yeah.
always go on, push the other guy off, and then you're the king of the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So we spent a lot of time in the water, but you learn to swim really good when you do that sort of thing. But that, and also living at Elm Creek, and a little bit of a, connection with the Elm Creek people and all that. And I was playing in a band with some guys at that time, and yeah.
You know what I see in that story, Ernie, is simply the Huckleberry Finn story.
Mm-hmm.
And I look at you as a total Tom Sawyer, a romantic, total romantic of that. You are, man. You're just a Tom Sawyer. You know, so that's what I'm seeing in you.
I'll have to research that because I really
Look
don't
it
know
up.
that.
Look it up. You'll find some resolve in your life when you realize you're a Tom Sawyer.
Okay.
And I'm probably more a Huckleberry Finn, I think.
I'm gonna check that out because I've heard of these guys and I don't really know a whole lot about them.
Yeah, check it out.
Tom Sawyer, but I'm pulling out the 45 here, and it's my favorite label too.
Oh my gosh!
This is the Nimbus 9 label, and
you actually got a little spinner in there.
Yeah, and I got that little.
What do you call that thing?
Well, that's the thing too. If you look it up, like I've often wondered, what do they call that thing? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You can look it up on the internet. Some people call it a spinet, or some people call it a. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I call it let me see. Oh, it popped right out.
Yeah.
This almost looks like a ninja throwing star.
Yeah,
but no, it's a beautiful little spinner.
So a spinner, it's been called all kinds of stuff, and basically it's still called a 45 center clip or whatever.
I'm just reading what it says on here. Adapter,
45 adapter.
This is an interesting word. Recotin. No, that's French.
No,
French.
I think that's the company that made them.
Recotin. Made in the USA.
Yeah, I think that's the company that made those.
This is like, oh my gosh, Ernie, this alone. I gotta photograph that.
I have lots of these.
Do you?
I got a whole whack of those.
Oh my gosh, I gotta grab one from you. I'll buy it on you.
Absolutely. Most of them were yellow. I have a white one, and I have a red one. And I'm not sure what colors they all came in, but most of them were yellow for whatever reason.
It's beautiful. The yellow is I love that yellow.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very pretty. Yeah. Yeah,
it looks like there's a signet. Is that someone signed there? Or is that just part of the cover
it is.
art?
Somebody has signed that. It is
just someone used to
I'm
own
gonna see if I can read this here. See, remember we talked about this in one of our other podcasts. Everybody signed their records for that reason, because they would change them around like baseball cards or whatever, hockey cards or whatever.
Yeah.
You switch. You borrow these and I'll borrow these, and then they play them, and then we'd switch back, and everybody, to keep track of who belongs to what, they would write their names on them.
Yeah.
And this is Lorraine Furman. So Lorraine Furman, if you're listening, I have your.
That's cool, man.
I have your share of the land.
Yeah. That's really
in the
cool.
picture sleeve. Yeah. So I have no idea where I got it from, but I have a couple of these. I have a couple of sleeves just because I like it so much.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I totally. One of the reasons I suggested you're a romanticist is because you have this awesome visual aesthetic of sensibility to. I'll tell a story in response to this album here that you in the conversation. It's all relative. So, it was like when I was going to just after graduating from high school. I registered for university, and you know why? It's sort of like I had this vision of university that I was like, sort of like I drove by the U of W, University of Winnipeg,
Yeah.
a few times, and all I saw was like people chilling on the front steps, like this beautiful facade and this sunny,
Yeah.
you know, just a bunch of youthful people just chatting and having fun. And it was cool.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, like the image burned in my brain.
Yeah.
And I loved that image. And when I saw that image, you know, I wanted to be a part of that scene instantly. Like the university sort of, it's like a bohemian sort of look at life. So I dove in, and reality sort of took over, because university is really not that. You know, like university's kind of ugly. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's not ugly, but university's like, there's a lot of sort of, I mean, it's not, you know, you sort of learn what that seduction of the image equates to. So when you get, I don't know how to say this, but when I was a young man, I was always, and even as an adult, I still like, I can distinguish when I'm enticed by an aesthetic of something, or whether it's or the opposite, you know, like, you know, and I'm still working on understanding all of this, Ernie, but like sometimes there's sort of, again, a little philosophical, but I'm gonna pull back right away. So like sometimes, you know, you find a love of your life, which is, that's real.
Yeah.
So you found the dart, you found Cheryl,
Yeah.
you found certain loves of your life, you found collecting. These are loves, passions of your life. Whereas some people get really misled in life, and they get seduced, and they see something flashy, and they go for it. And that's kind of where I would fall every time. That was my problem.
Oh.
So when I say romantic, you know, like I look at you as someone who has a, like, more of a adventurous in you, you know, like you're, I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, I'll pull out of that one right now. But like, I think you're you know, when we talk philosophy, like that's my Huckleberry Finn in me. Whereas an adventurous looks at a Huckleberry Finn and says, like, what are you talking about sometimes, you know? Because this is the way Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer talk to each other. Because
I'm gonna have to check that out, because
you know, Tom Sawyer was more, why are you talking about that stuff? Don't think about it. Let's go. Let's do.
let's just do it.
And that's it, man. That's Tom Sawyer. So anyway,
Yeah.
I can see both sides of the coin.
You know, but when you're saying about, you see a flashing light and you're drawn to it, and maybe that's the artistic side of you, like just gravitate to the flashing light, you know, that sort of thing.
I think so.
You
I
know?
think that's the way I would see it too.
That sort of
But,
thing.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just, but I think we're all that way a little bit. You know, we're seduced by all the cool stuff in the world. You know, and so.
Yeah.
But it's hard to stay above water sometimes. Eh?
Yeah, well, with a mind like mine, like a Huckleberry like sort of, well, I don't know, like I'm always trying to understand.
This will be interesting. I'm going to check out
Yeah.
Huckleberry Finn and find out what that means exactly.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
But you know, jumping out of that hoop, I just wanted to, you know, bring us back to the real world here and talk about, you know, like. The other thing I thought of this Share the Land album, going straight to this album, is like, you know, there's something seriously weird going on where this Indigenous man is digging through his wallet, and all these white guys are around him, sort of like, what's going on there?
Yeah,
you know?
I suppose it's supposed to be
It's a little odd.
mean something.
Yeah, something weird about, and this guy doesn't look too pleasant. And who's that guy?
That's Gary Peterson.
He looks a little angry, like he's holding something there.
Oh, he's a gentle. He's the most, because even when they interview him and stuff now, he's just such a gentle person.
Looks like he's holding a gun.
Great drummer.
Is he holding a gun in there, like an old pistol? An old pistol? I mean, is it?
No,
What's he holding in there?
I
In
don't
his
know.
hand. He's got his hands like this.
Yeah,
So,
but that's not a. Oh, I was doing this.
Yeah,
was
like he was trying to open it
I
up
was
a
trying
little,
to
like
open it
an
a little
old.
bigger to make it. That doesn't work.
You'll have to look it up. Anyways, maybe I just spread a rumor.
Yeah, I don't
that
know what.
doesn't-
I've never
like an
noticed
old
that before.
pistola. But anyway,
I've never ever studied this picture.
it looks a little sinister, actually.
But
I
they're
don't know.
all staring into his wallet.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
And that, what's his name again? The guy that I thought was holding the pistola.
Gary Peterson.
Gary Peterson looks like he's like a sort of gangster, and he's just not buying it or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's an interesting.
Well, they're on that side, he's standing or with his wallet, and all these guys are there, and now all of a sudden you take the flip side, all the guys are gone, his wallet's gone.
Yeah, there you go.
So,
Yeah,
what does that mean?
Yeah, and then you look at the title.
Share the land. And the other guys are on the bus ready riding away.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows? I don't know. It's a very cool picture.
Yeah.
And you notice how everything is earth tony.
Yes, and you
You
have
know?
artist eyes too to see
It's
that. to
beautiful.
pick
It's
that
just
up.
a beautiful, like the record, like the album. This is the single, the 45, but the album has this picture on it right here
Yeah,
in the front of it. It's just beautiful picture. Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
It's just everything they're wearing, and everything is earth tones, and it's just well done. It's a well taken picture. Well,
It
posed.
is. It is.
But I've never realized
Yes,
what
again.
that picture could possibly mean. But anyway, very interesting.
It's almost like it. You know what I think it means? It's like sort of he's getting robbed. Sort of like in the so you know how people get like the indigenous people sort of the current
Yeah.
thought is that like we sold the land or like
Yep.
the settlers sold this land and there are all these white guys around the indigenous guy, the band, and it says bus driver, share the land, and you flip it over and it says, and it's just this indigenous man, he no longer has a wallet, and now he's the one saying share the land, bus rider. So it's like the endless riddle.
Yeah.
It flips back and
Well,
forth.
it could be something like white man moves in, takes the land, but that's not enough. They want his money too.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it could have all kinds of meanings.
Yeah.
So very cool pictures.
It is.
So
Yeah, here, bring out a comparative 45. Bring out the next one,
next
and
one.
just show me how can we compare them? Because sometimes you compare two 45s, and just put them side by side.
Okay.
And let's talk which one we got here.
Okay, a comparison here would be in my mind's eye. When it comes to 45s and all that, there's 3 45s that, in my opinion, are they're both sides of the 45 are equally as good.
Mm-hmm.
And so, Bus Riders Share the Land, Have You Ever Seen the Rain, and Hate Tonight. And then the Beatles have a 45 is Rain and Paperback Writer. And those 3 45s, I think, are to me, in my mind, the only 3 45s where both songs on both sides, or both sides of each one of those records, is equally as good as the other side, and yet they're totally different songs. Like these
Yeah.
two are totally different, those two are totally different, and Rain and Paperback Writer are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
But those 3 records, and you can look at all the other records in the world and to try to find a song that's just as good on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that would be, but these 3 are. And then I don't have Rain, Paperback Writer here though.
Okay.
But
Let's
that's
pretend
how
they're here because this is quite interesting. What you're
that
saying.
I would, and also the label. When you think about this Nimbus 9 label, here this beautiful fantasy label, like it's a gorgeous label.
It is.
And then you got the Beatles would have the Apple label.
Yeah.
And so those 345s are the 45s of all time, you know.
Nice.
And you know, it might not be my favorite song in the world, but uh, you know, the two songs together is just awesome. So yeah, I'll have to maybe dig up that Rain paperback writer. I don't know. You probably don't even know that song or either one of them. Right. I don't
No,
know if you know these songs even. Have you ever seen The Rain and Hate Tonight?
I know Credence. I
Yeah,
know Guess Who.
yeah.
I know Beatles.
You know
Right?
Beatles, but do you
Yeah.
know the Rain paperback
I've probably
writer?
heard them. I mean, I don't recognize title wise sometimes, but
Yeah. Okay.
you know,
Yeah. You
but I
probably,
recognize
yeah.
songs for sure.
Yeah.
But these, yeah, um, I know these are quality bands.
Yeah. This particular record, I had to order. This one here, I had to order from. I don't know where I got it from. Somewhere far away, anyway. Ordered it through Discogs because I had the album and I have the CD. And one of my favorite songs of all time is this. Have you ever seen the rain? I mean, it's just a great song. And I thought to myself, I don't even have that 45, and I'd like to have it on display. So I had to order this from somewhere, and it only cost me a few bucks to get it. But I haven't had that 45 very long. Probably a year, less than a year. I've owned that 45. So
Beautiful stuff.
so that
Man.
would be a
It's
good comparison. Is those two
yeah, yeah.
plus the Rain paperback writer. Those three should
Yeah.
all be together. You know, that sort of thing.
I think so, man. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I was as you were talking about that, like I was thinking, you know, talking about collectors and artists, but also personalities are so interesting to me. And how, you know, have you ever heard of the Enneagram? You can do a little psychological test, like just a random test on just a little number test, or sort of, it's not a number test, but it's the Enneagram. I'll share it with you after. The Enneagram is a personality test. You can do it yourself, but there's different ways of doing it. It's like quite a field of study. And it tells you about your personality. And to me, I've got you pegged as a 7, solid 7, an enthusiast. And I'm more of a 9, because I've done this like more on a level of like a sort of a deep study of it. And why I'm saying this is because personality is also like the way humans work is complicated.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, a personality is like has its different traits and stuff, but like an enthusiast is sort of someone who sees like a beautiful adventure, like a beautiful car, and just like falls in love, and never, like, you know, your passion for the car, for the, you know, the collecting and stuff, like it's something that's very I don't know, I just feel like you might be a 7, but you know, you look up that one too. But the reason I bring that up is because you know, the way brains work and communication happens.
Oh yeah.
So like you know, like sometimes it appears you know, sometimes I'll say things in this 45 thing, and it may seem I'm way out to lunch, but also, like, you know, when we circle it back, like I just think that, you know, people can be different, but you know, Ernie and I'd say, are role modeling something here. Like we're bridging a gap, and often we look at each other from across the table right now, and we're trying to understand each other. You know, constantly. Even though we're talking about albums, like I'm listening to Ernie, I love his style, everything about him. But I'm still trying to understand how he works, and that's kind of like, you know, that's kind of the basis of communication.
Yeah.
And I really like, I think, yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on?
Well, when you mentioned the human brain, it is just so terribly complicated. When you think about it, like now sitting here like this, in any instant you want, you can think about anything in your life, and it's there. like you can think about a day when you're 10 years ago something happened and you can bring it back just like that. Like what happens in your brain when that happens? But you can do it, right?
Not always. Yeah, it does come back memory.
Yeah, that's
For
what I
example,
mean.
it's
Like we can think about first podcast and what went on there, and you can bring that back into your mind instantly. How what is it? What happens in the brain to do that? Right? How, like
it is.
it's just
It's
mind
like,
boggling.
it is. It
You
is.
know.
It is. Yeah.
So it's a pretty deep subject. So
But you know, there's this great movie too, called Dinner with Andre. Check it out. Like it's similar to a conversation between a philosophical type and sort of like sort of like a more practical type. You know, like
yeah,
two different sides of the coin. But yeah, check that one out. Dinner with Andre. It's
My Dinner with Andre.
yeah, it's a good movie. I love that
Oh,
one. But
yeah.
it's like a conversation between two fellows, like a big podcast.
Oh,
But yeah, Ernie. You know, here we are. You know, we're coming close. How long have we been on the air for?
I don't know.
Check it. So we're at 45 minutes, man. We're done. We're done, man. We're off.
45.
So we're continuing this conversation off the clock. 46. We got to shut it off. Anyways,
Yeah.
I went on. I rattled off my mouth a little too long, I felt. But here we are, 45 RPNs. Ernie and I are. Did we accomplish the goal?
I think we did. Yeah.
We did not want to waste any moment. I think we might have lost track of that.
Did we make it count?
Did we make it count?
I think
Did
we
we?
did.
I think we did. And Ernie's a good optimist. He's a good champ. Because often, my friends out there in the world, I often lose focus, which happens sometimes. So anyway, today I want to thank Ernie for joining me here on May 6th, and we'll join you in another week for episode 9. This was episode 8, episode 9.
Number 9.
And we'll try not to waste any time, and we'll try to get to the point.
Well, I don't think we wasted any time.
It's a little confusing sometimes, but Ernie, you're an awesome friend, and here we go. We're gonna take the old dart for a spin.
Yep.
Okay, start it up.
Yeah.
There we go. Goodbye.
Goodbye.